Terry Pegula should never be allowed near a microphone again. That was a rambling, unapologetic disaster.
Hello world, and welcome back to Grid. Iron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by two members of the collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, and Donnie DP Peters. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only, like Kayshon Boutte, the one-handed catch wonder for the New England Patriots. If you guys have not seen this yet, NFL Films had an incredible shot of that ultra slow motion in the snow. Just beautiful stuff. NFL Film. I have a good friend actually who works for NFL Films. She got me into the Super Bowl when I was out here in LA. I did put out a feeler to see if there are any tickets available because San Francisco is not too far away, but she's doing something better than just giving them to me. She's actually auctioning them off. My buddy has a foundation for a child they lost called Noel's Light. So if you want to bid on a Super Bowl package that's worth $18K, it's awesome. You get a VIP party experience. You get NFL Films is actually going to give you a tour of the stadium. I'll put it on Twitter once the auction goes live. So shout out to my buddy Alex, his wife, Noel's Light, and Melanie for putting up the tickets for that. A very fun championship weekend on tap, despite the Bo Nix injury and Jarrett Stidham now entering at quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I still think that game will be competitive. And of course, the nightcap for the NFC, it is the rubber match between the Rams and the Seahawks in Seattle for the right to go to the Super Bowl. But before we get into all of that, Brett, we can use this as a lead-in to the AFC Championship. I need to cede the floor to you and let you do an autopsy on your beloved.
The Bills make me wanna shout.
How you doing, brother?
What happened? What I missed?
How you feeling?
It has been a week here in Buffalo, man. People are not happy with. It's crazy because like this organization's just been, I feel like, top tier for so many years, and then our owner opens his mouth and it all just goes to shit in like 5 minutes. So I mean that's my big takeaway, is that Terry Pegula should never be allowed near a microphone again as a owner of a sports franchise. That was a rambling, unapologetic disaster from Grandpa Terry. I was thinking today, what would that press conference have been if he fired both McDermott and Bean? It would have been just him up there by himself, like Donald Trump talking about invading Iceland for an hour. Like, it would have been a nightmare from Terry. So it's actually good that Bean was there to steal some time away from him. But yeah, people aren't happy, man. Like Brandon Bean, I wish the guy would take some accountability for the decisions that he's made. Like with him every year, it's we have to pay Josh Allen, we have to pay our quarterback. But bro, Josh's cap hit this year was lower than like 10 quarterbacks, including Geno, including Tua. Like, you've had plenty of room to build a roster, but you bring in guys like Von Miller and you pay Josh Palmer and Curtis Samuel, and it's like, this is what we're left with. And plus, you can keep restructuring Josh because it's Josh effing Allen, and he's going to be great for another 5, 6, 7 years. I'm tired of the excuses from Brandon Bean. Go find some good players, build a winning roster. It's tough. And then McDermott, it's just tragic, dude. Like, I feel like if 4 or 5 years ago he was the coach he is today, we probably won a Super Bowl. Like, we had the best roster in the NFL for 2 years. McDermott was just so far behind with the in-game management and the analytics back then. It cost us a lot of key football games. So I agree with the firing. I think he had his chances and he blew it. And with the roster that we have now and going forward, I just think we need a change of pace and probably a little more energy and somebody who's going to light a fire under Josh's ass, because I think there might be something to the married guy who has a kid on the way thing. Like, I think he needs somebody who's gonna give him that spark again. So that's where I'm at. It was it's been a tough week. Really disappointing loss on Sunday. Just seeing how the players reacted in the locker room was a tough watch.
You do not see that. You do not see that from professional athletes ever. That type of, I mean, Brandon Cooks and that whole saga aside, like Brandon Cooks has been with the team for 6 weeks and he was like sobbing at his locker after that game. One of the things that has been kicked around a lot in the Badlands Discord, the Jets Discord, is that, Woody Johnson sucks. But the thing is all these owners suck. Like you talked about what would it have looked like if it was just Pagula up there. Well, we saw that with Bisciotti in Baltimore, like 3 GTs deep, just like talking nonsense. How long would Harbaugh have lasted if he made the field goal one more week? Like just like insane stuff. I honestly think the only owner that is just outstanding is Jeffrey Lurie, because he's sharp as the devils and he's got enough cash where he's willing to pay all these void years and restructure, and cash is never an issue ever with the Eagles. So he is like one of one in the league. And then I think the rest of the owners all stink, but some of them get lucky in that they hire the right coach or they draft the right quarterback. And then we assign this success metric to them because the team is winning. But I think at the end of the day, they're all just not the brightest bulbs in the bunch. So yeah. And there was one more point that I wanted to make in the wake of that game. Maybe it'll come back to me, but the Bo Nix thing, that as we pivot to this game, we have alerts set up in the Discord, bit.ly/Discord Moose, where if the Underdog Fantasy account, which seems to be the best aggregator of NFL content, every time they tweet, it just automatically gets posted in our Discord. It's good stuff. And we're watching the second game, and it just comes in, Bo Nix has a broken ankle. And Mo appropriately goes, when did we start aggregating parody bots? And mass confusion. But yes, on the penultimate play before the field goal, Bo Nix breaks his ankle. And now we have Jarrett Stidham playing quarterback for the Denver Broncos, who are 5.5-point home dogs currently on Pinnacle. I'm seeing 4.5 in at the book that I can wager at. I'm very mad at myself. I was staring at 6 and did not place a wager, but I still think this number is okay. I think anything north of 4 is okay to bet on. I still have not placed a wager yet. I think if I get involved, I'm going to bet first half specifically for Denver, because I think Peyton is going to be a madman when it comes to the opening script and the first couple of plays that he draws up. And I think that Stidham and this offense will drill down on those plays specifically and could have some early success. On the other side, if you like New England, I wouldn't be sprinting to the window to bet this number right now. I would wait until the scripted plays are out of the way, and now we have an in-game state where Peyton has to call plays that maybe they haven't repped as much. Stidham has to do things that perhaps he hasn't done as much. And if there's a scenario with which the Broncos get out to an early lead, I think that's going to present an opportunity for you to bet the Patriots live during the contest. But I would just generally ask people to pump the brakes on this game, because the thing that people are grasping on with the Patriots thus far in the playoffs is the success that they've had on the defensive front. But nobody is mentioning that the Chargers and Texans have bottom 3 offensive lines in pro football. On top of that, the Patriots were in the comfy confines of Gillette Stadium, where these offensive lines have to operate in noise, in cold, on the road, which then muddies the operation up front, in addition to just not being good at football. So while I do think the majority of times the Patriots do come out on top in this game, I think it is a much narrower than the market perceives. And Brett, you agree because the first thing you sent me was Broncos money line.
Yeah, I mean, the line movement tells you that the market thinks that Denver's offense just kind of collapses without Bo Nix, and I don't think that's true. This isn't some chaos offense that only works with elite quarterback play. It's Sean Payton. It's a system built around timing and spacing and protection, and that travels to a backup quarterback better than almost any other scheme in the league. So I like the Broncos a lot. When you factor in they've got a top 5 pass blocking offense, they got a screen game that's quick, and a coach that has years of experience designing offenses around a backup quarterback. So I think that combination alone should prevent this offense from taking a full nosedive. I think you're going to get better. Hopefully, you're going to get better play out of the receivers this week as well. I don't think you need. You just need functionality to cover this 4.5, but I think the Denver Broncos are good enough up front and on defense to win this game outright.
Some favorable injury stuff for those receivers. Troy Franklin has been at practice, albeit in a limited fashion, so he's trending towards, I would lean going with that hamstring injury. And Pat Bryant has registered a full practice today on Thursday. We know in the concussion protocol, you just need to register one full practice for you to clear. So he seems to be on track to return as well. He left early against the Bills. DP, pile on once again. ODB, we're on your side. The entire collective backing not Bo Nix, but your Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, one more key injury to throw in there. Wattenberg, who I call Wattenberger, Whataburger, whatever the hell his name is, that center. But he's designated to return. It looks like 2 full practices under his belt. I mean, they were playing. What was last week? Didn't the backup get hurt? So they were on their 3rd string. So, and that's very important. You know, one, this offensive line is really good as is, right? Now they get this guy back, which is going to be good, especially in the middle where you got Williams and Barmore, who are like the 2 wrecking forces for the Patriots. So I feel like that has to bode well for the Broncos. I know that this number has come down from where it initially came out at, post Bo Nix news. But it's still too big, in my opinion. And, Rich, I know you talked about how you would kind of approach betting this game. I would say that I'm going to be on the Broncos here. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to be on the Broncos, maybe sprinkle a little bit on the money line myself. I would say that if you like the Patriots, just bet Patriots alternates. And my reason is that if it falls apart for Denver, it's going to probably be Jarrett Stidham, just a complete mess, turnovers, like defensive scores. Like you could even do like some sort of crazy same game parlay, like Patriots alternate, defensive touchdown, sacks, like something like kind of crazy, because that's how it's going to fall apart. I agree with you guys that I think Sean Payton is going to just play this one like pretty protective of his quarterback, which he's done with Nix plenty. You mentioned ODB. He's been kind of annoyed with Payton being like, let the reins off this kid a little bit. Like you're kind of like not letting him go. I think he can do that with Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham's been in this system now for a couple of years. I know he hasn't gotten out there and played, but he should understand things. It does help them a little bit that you do have that whole week of prep versus this happening, let's say on a Wednesday or a Thursday or whatever. This Patriots offensive line, specifically the left side, which is where they drafted Will Campbell, has not been good. I mean, holy hell. And Drake May, I know the numbers might not fully show it, but if you've watched the football games, how many times has that ball been on the ground? How many times? 6 times? 7 times? Like, now you have to go up against the best defense that you're going to be facing right now. Well, I mean, the Texans were very good, but you know what I mean. You're going to go up against the best offensive line you faced all season, hands down. Like hands down all season. Everyone's made fun of the schedule, all that sort of stuff. This is the best offensive line that they're going to have faced. So, yeah, I kind of really love the Broncos here. I mean, I love Brett's call for the money line. If Jarrett Stidham can just be competent out there, like just be kind of that game manager that you need. It's not like the Broncos have this super flashy offense anyway that's going to come out there. They're doing all this crazy stuff. And all of a sudden you have to throw this wild variable in with the backup quarterback. No, like I feel like if you're kind of coming into an offense as a backup, this feels like a pretty safe landing spot for that. So yeah, I like everything here for the Broncos. I showed you guys that text in the Discord I got from my friend this morning who's a Patriots fan being like, why the heck is this number so low? I mean, like, I have no idea how this moved a full touchdown. We as well on this podcast have never been super big on Bo Nix. So if we're not super big on Bo Nix, then we can't be like, yeah, well, if he's out, he's worth a touchdown. Like that doesn't align to me. Okay, so I'm taking the points here. And I would take the points down to a field goal. Maybe if it gets down to 2.5, then it's a little bit more dicey. But anything down to a full field goal, I'm just happy just shoveling money in and just take it if you're going to take it from me.
We've seen Sean Payton win with Teddy Bridgewater. We've seen Sean Payton win with Taysom Hill. We've seen Sean Payton win with the corpse of Drew Brees when he was a 4 A-dot guy, unable to push the ball downfield. To your point about the Patriots offensive line, Broncos second in pressure rate in the NFL this season, and Drake May and the Patriots offense have registered negative EPA outputs in their 2 playoff games so far. I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for New England. And I'm surprised to hear a lot of people, especially in our Discord, our guy, Steven Andrus, who really dumping on this Denver defense, which I don't know. I'm not seeing what they're seeing. Yes, the Bills scored a ton of points last week. The Bills have an alien quarterback in
It's the Bills.
I
mean, like, hello.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me from the Patriots on offense is Drake May's ability to generate explosives. He is an unbelievable thrower of the football. Denver's third in the league in completion percentage on passes that travel over 20 yards. So, like, Surtain is a good player. This team is good. So, I think this is going to be closer than people think. Denver has a chance to win. I'm excited to see the game. We move to the NFC Championship, where I made a big oopsie, guys. Not a big oopsie, but an oopsie. So this comes out, and on the unfortunate, thanks California, Shady Offshore, where I have to place my wagers, I see Seattle minus 2.5. And I attempt to place a multiple unit wager because I think this line is wrong. And they tell me that the line is 3. So I say cancel. And I refresh the page, and it still says 2.5. So I try to place a wager on Seahawks minus 2.5, and they say it's 3. So I'm like, okay, the line is so fresh that it would not surprise me that it actually is 3. And in my mind, I think this should be north of 3. So I think in a world where when these lines come out, there's a lot of action at the beginning. I think there is a world where this could get to 3.5 in this time period. So I place a wager at 3, not as large as I was planning on, but I place it at 3. Everywhere I look, instead of doing the responsible thing and shopping and maybe texting somebody to bet on another book for me, I'm seeing 1.5s, I'm seeing 2.5s. So I'm heated. So I did buy a piece of somebody that has 2.5 as well. And if this gets to 3, it showed 3, but a very expensive 3. If this gets to 3, I think I'll buy out of my 3 and just ride with my 2.5. Just pay some vig. I can stomach that. But I'm not afraid to just hold the 3 either in this game, where the analysis that people are doing on this Rams team is they are taking this 20-week view and assessing this Rams team as a 20-week sample and applying those attributes to this team, where I'm very concerned with what I've seen from this Rams team over the last 4 weeks, the playoffs specifically, where they went to Carolina and they needed all of those 60 minutes to beat the Carolina Panthers. They went to Chicago, and granted, Caleb makes a miraculous play to get that to overtime, but that was a competitive game for 4 quarters, and Stafford put out like a 0.04 EPA per play effort. I don't think this is the Rams team that was smushing people in the early and middle parts of the season. I think the Stafford injury is a real thing, and I'm worried about a team that has now played back-to-back to the death road games in the playoffs, giving maximum effort, now playing a third straight road game against a team that had a bye and then basically just played a half of football against the Niners after Rashid Shaheed takes the opening kickback and they absolutely demolish San Francisco in Seattle. So I'm very concerned about how beat up the Rams are and how they've looked so far in the playoffs. And on top of that, I truly do think that Sam Darnold exercised some demons in that last Rams game where he was able to march and Seattle was able to score the winning touchdown and then convert the winning 2-point conversion after that. I think something fundamentally changed there. And this is a Seattle defense where what were we talking about all season with Chicago? Turnover variance. They're super lucky. This Seattle defense is number 1 in defense EPA, number 1 in defense DVOA, 28th in turnover EPA, -3 turnover differential. They've had no positive variance in the turnover department. They've just punked people on the defensive side of the ball. And I think the Hawks are going to win this game by margin. I really do. So I think I'm going to just hold on to the 3. We'll see what happens. But this is going to end up being my largest side of the season, honestly, because of that oopsie. But I'm okay with it. Brett is on the other side. He likes Stafford, McVay, and the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not a strong stand. Gun to head, I like the Rams, and if I'm going to put a bet down on it, it's going to be on the money line. I just think coaching for me, McVay in the playoffs with his experience, the third meeting here, and McVay knows this team as well as anybody, but I mean, he's now seen their entire play action menu. He has seen how Seattle wants to attack light boxes. Like he's seen everything with the Seattle team, and I still don't trust Darnold in these spots. Like when the Seahawks throw, their non-play action dropbacks collapse, their turnover risk spikes, and I don't know, man. You put Darnold in a negative game environment, I just think it gets ugly, and I think the Rams are good enough to where that happens enough to where they win this game. I don't know, half the time. I like plus 120, so that's kind of where I am on this. You're right, though. The Rams, defensively especially, have not been the same team over the second half of the season, and especially over the past month and a half. So we'll see. I'm really excited about this game, though. I can't wait to watch it. But yeah, it's small lean on the Rams here.
The other thing, just to put a pin on the Hawks, they're the classic pressure with 4, 26th in blitz rate, 6th in pressure rate. And that is kryptonite for someone of Stafford's ilk who can't move, right? He's not someone who's going to be able to break pocket and take advantage of a shorter rush. So, DP, you're with me. You're on the Sea Chickens.
Yeah, I mean, really what you hit on there at the end, and Mo's been on this for what the whole season, if not a little bit shorter than that, and you saw it in that Bears game when Stafford is forced to move around and he's not just able to sit back there in a nice pocket and do his thing, because when he is in a nice pocket, he is elite and he can pick apart defenses and all that sort of stuff. But this Hawks defense is pretty ferocious. So if they're forcing him to move around, it just really does all break down for Stafford. And, I saw a stat the other day where his turnover-worthy throws have gone up in the latter half of the season. So, I mean, I think you saw it kind of come home in that Falcons game, several weeks ago. But a lot of these plays where he's forced to move around, he's an aggressive quarterback by nature, but when you're not just, sitting in a pocket, you're able to plant your feet and gun it, it's really hard for him. Combined with now he's dealing with this finger injury and I don't know. I feel like this could be a multiple turnover game for Stafford. I already don't like the fact that it's an aging Stafford who can't move against this good of a Hawks defense. I don't like that in and of itself. You add the fact that there could be 1 or 2 turnovers in there for Stafford, things can go the Seahawks' way. I just think that's pretty bad news. And then on the other side, listen, I know the big worry, like Brett said, is it's Sam Darnold in a big spot, in a big game, and we've seen that crumble. Every dog has his day, man, at some point. And Darnold's been pretty darn good. So I don't know. I would like to think that the romantic in me believes that Darnold learned from how it fell apart in Minnesota at the end there, and he will not be that bad, right? So in that sense, that's what I'm going to bake on. But the big thing here is just Stafford against this defense. If he's forced to move at all, I think that's just an absolute nightmare.
If people are looking at the injury report, I would say don't be too concerned about the Charles Cross DNPs. He DNP'd last week and played. I think they're just trying to give him as much rest as possible. They pulled him after 60% of the snaps against San Francisco because, they were up a million. So I think I'm more optimistic than not that he does go. On the other side, the Rams did get blanking on the guard returned last week and looked pretty good. So the Rams did get some cavalry back up front for them. In terms of props, I guess we could just toss out some props here if we have any interest in any for these two games. I heard our buddy Jason Lisk over at Pool Genius brought up an interesting one today about Velus Jones perhaps falling into the end zone. He's being priced like guys who literally aren't going to get on the field. Like he has the same price in my book as Ronnie Rivers. But last week, Velus, and I know it was a blowout, but he had 6 carries last week. And like Kenneth Walker is not going to have I don't think he's going to have a 90% snap share this week. So somebody's going to have to spell him in some sort of scenarios. And right now in the pecking order, it is Velus Jones. So I think that's an interesting look. And then back to the first game, I'm on my guy, Robert Spillane, over 6.5 tackles and assists. He's hit 6 the first 2 games in the playoffs, but last week Dalton Schultz gets hurt. So that tight end kind of passing funnel wouldn't be there in that game. But I mean, Spillane's had several games this season with double-digit tackles and assists. And we know Denver loves the short passing attack. If J.K. Dobbins does play in this game, they're going to be dumping to both him and Harvey. So I think there's going to be tons of opportunities for Spillane to get some tackles in that game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him creep up towards that double-digit number. And speaking of Dobbins, Brett, you are interested in firing him to score.
Yeah, this Denver offense has really lacked balance in the run game over the past, he's been out for a while now, right? 2 months. So, I mean, especially in the red zone. And that's where Dobbins is so good at finding gaps and moving bodies and finding the end zone. So if he's good to go, sounds like he is, I think Peyton is going to ride him as much as he can. So I like him to get in the end zone. Just looking at price here. I mean, RJ Harvey is plus 125. Dobbins, I don't even see him on here on DraftKings yet. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, I guess.
Cowards.
When that is priced,
Cowards.
I will probably.
Cowards. I said it last week. I was interested.
He's probably priced somewhere at another book, but I haven't seen it yet.
I told you guys last week I was interested in those Patriot long receptions. Unfortunately, Williams was never lined. He had a decent one. Obviously, Boutte had the chunk play, but I mean, that's what the Patriots like to do. The Patriots like to attack deep and create explosives. So, I again, if you like New England, then I think you should be interested in some more high variance looks from their pass catchers and try to attack it in that angle as opposed to laying heaps of points in this spot.
Yeah, I would be interested in Mac Hollins for the Patriots if he ends up playing. Just because if you think Surtain's going to shut down Booty, then I mean Mac Hollins has kind of always been this security blanket for Drake May, and I'm assuming his number is going to be pretty low for like receptions or something like that. So one of those things where if you think the pressure is going to get to May, he's going to need to look to dump off to somebody. And if Hollins does end up coming back, I know they kind of cleared him and he started practicing in a limited form today, so he's not quite available yet in the betting markets, but he's somebody that I would look to maybe grab a taste of if something's available.
What's the excitement meter at this week, DP? I know you've been tuned in. WEEI.
I want to ask you guys a question first before we do that. Okay. And my question is, you're Sean Payton. Game ends. The trainer comes to you and tells you Bo Nix breaks his ankle. Do you have to announce it right then? Can you wait till Tuesday? And even if there is a penalty, isn't the penalty kind of worth taking? I mean, how bad can it be? Like, if we're talking a draft pick, okay, I get it. But if it's like a $100,000 fine, I mean, who gives a shit? Like, right?
I think
have him be in a walking boot. He sprained his ankle. We're going to evaluate him throughout the week. It leaves a little bit of uncertainty. Like, they literally came out right afterwards and said it. And immediately, obviously, Vrabel and the staff over there is like, okay, we got to prep for Stidham. Like, versus waiting even like 24 hours, 48 hours. Like, these guys don't really like go through like these super strenuous practices on a Monday after a game. So I thought that was weird that he like just immediately dropped it.
I think from a leader of men perspective, I think it's just better to rip the Band-Aid off and say, Stiddy's our guy and we're going to win next week, right?
Yeah, but you could say that internally.
Yeah, but it's so leaky.
Because you know that's the case. You know.
It's so leaky, man. There's hundreds of people in these NFL buildings, and all it takes is one dopey trainer who has a relationship with somebody to text them, and then all of a sudden these things get out. So I'm in favor of just taking it head on and saying, look, and also I'm wondering if Sean Payton playing some 4D chess is looking back at what they did with Stidham in preseason and in other instances and saying, I know this is what Vrabel and them are going to look at. How can we build deception off of the things they are seeing, right? If they've seen that we've run a certain screen look, right? How do we motion into that look? They think they're going to key in on a screen and it's actually going to be something else. So there's a lot of 4D chess going on right now between Peyton and Vrabel. And yeah, I'm curious, Peyton, as someone who's traditionally pretty conservative, if he's going to have any tricks up his sleeve in this game.
For sure.
Or if he's just going to try to play football.
Like, can I bet on trick play? Is that a thing? Like trick play, like fake punt. I don't know. Something like, can that be bet on? Can I do that? Because that's going to happen. I feel like it's going to happen.
We got to look for Juwan. Who's their Juwan Jennings? Who's the guy who played quarterback at some point in their previous incarnation? I don't know. Very excited though. I think this is going to be a great Sunday of football, and I'm excited about the Super Bowl as well. Outside football too. Every single game of this playoffs was played outdoors. Get out of here with your stupid domes and your stupid controlled environments. This has been electric football, and I don't think it's going to stop on Sunday. Follow these guys at Brett Colson, COLLSON, and at Donnie_Peters. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. We'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks for the Super Bowl. Until then, peace.